getting hit multiple times coming out of that bike section. More drivers coming to blows.
Hello, and welcome in to a revised Formula 4 here for Ray Esports. So welcome back to the Weekend Warriors. The doubleheader has returned for the final 3 weeks of the season. I'm Charles Boshell. Alongside me is Josh Wilkie, the boss, and in the production booth is Father Guido, taking care of things for us. Josh, we're here today at Navarra, bringing the Formula 4s back to the broadcast. So welcome back to the Formula 4s, and welcome back to you into the broadcast booth.
Yeah, it's an interesting one to be on this side of it here with the FS. I have not had the time, unfortunately, to be racing in this series. Obviously, we haven't been broadcasting for a little bit, but I can honestly say I miss this machinery. This is a pretty great track out here as well. I'm interested to see kind of how everybody's playing ball out here as well. It's been a little while since I've had a chance to race with these guys. So yeah, we're really excited to check this one out with you guys, and good to be in the booth as well, Charles. Thanks.
Yeah, absolutely, and it is good to be back and broadcasting the Formula Fords. And we're here at Navarra today, and it's kind of an abbreviated, a little bit shorter course than the full Navarra layout. So we'll kind of highlight that as we go along today. As we'll just check in with qualifying here. Mikey Pollard on pole with a 104.262. Jake Williams in second place, Daniel Case in third, Frederick Surley in fourth, who is our sponsor for today's event. Frederick, thank you very much. Wants to mention his website, filmbill.no. Norwegian site, so get your Google Translate ready if you don't speak fluent Norwegian. So, but we do appreciate him sponsoring the event today. So, looking forward to having that sponsorship on board. So, thank you very much to Frederick, and he is sit there qualified in fourth position so far. Antonio Reese, P5 overall, and our current Masters pole sitter. Only 0.34 off of the overall pole. Scrolling down through, Daniel Verone is sitting there in P12. He is our current Spec 2 pole sitter. Pretty small Spec 2 field, it must be said, for today. A lot of Masters and a lot of Spec 1 drivers out there as we're as we're still going through qualifying here with about 5.5 minutes or so left. So still opportunities with a short lap to get 2 or 3 more good laps in. So we'll see if that changes. You generally have a car or two jump around here in the last few minutes of qualifying. And we're going to get our onboard lap. I'm trying to give me just a moment there, Guido, as I'm talking as we're going on here, because I love to go back and look at the track map, and then I find out that iRacing is logging me out. So bear with me just a second as I get logged back in, and we can just kind of keep an eye on it. Josh, so what are your thoughts about this a little bit? What about Navarra in general? And then we'll do our track map with the shortened layout.
Yeah, I've really liked this place when I've been here before. I don't believe that I have been to this shorter version of the layout, but I can tell you this corner that we're going through right here that we're watching, I believe this is Jason Chen here, one of my old rivals, actually. Good driver out there. That first complex of corners, that sort of 1, 2, 3, is not an easy set of corners. That took me, one of the only times I think I've ever used the iRacing rewind flashback feature in practice was at that corner, just so I could hit it over and over and over again and try to get it right. We are going to see people try to make passes in this corner that just don't work out. They just end up not working out. You can go up the inside and you just can't get it. You sort of have to swing really wide out and touch the curb, and there's a few spots you really have to meet there to make sure that corner goes straight. And that's not the only difficult spot on this track either, but I think it's going to race pretty well. There's lots of room for passing, and like I said, T1 there. Wow, what an interesting corner it is.
Yeah, absolutely. And I did manage to get logged back in. Thankfully, there as nice. We're watching the qualifying continue. And this is what they call the speed circuit here at Navarra. So obviously, very very short 8 corners, and we'll get to that in a few minutes. Let's go ahead and do our championship points to get everybody caught up, since we haven't been here for a few races. So this is as we're coming into round 10 here. Mikey Pollard leads the championship in Spec 1, 696 points. Jake Williams sitting there in second. Arrow Knob in third. Daniel Case and Jason Chen round out your top 5, tied at 541. So still pretty tight battles there in the top 5 as we roll over to Spec 2. Paul Jackson leading the points there with 528. Daniel Verone with 419. Kevin Adrian in third. Chris Montgomery fourth. Daniel Salmon Zippy sitting there in P5 as we get to the Masters group here. Jorg Monty. Wow, massive lead by Jorg Monty, who is not even here today. Just take this. Oh, no, he is. I'm sorry. He's in P6 now. So we'll watch the qualifying. But leading by a large margin over David Lehman. Alan DeGasse is in third. Chris Murakami fourth. Andrew Love in P5. Only 1 point ahead of Antonio Reese there in sixth. Jorg could make the rest of the season off, I think, and still win the championship with that kind of a gap. So and we do see him now sitting there in P6, just behind Antonio Reese, who's still leading the Masters class. And let's see if we can get Frederick around here at the start of this lap, and we'll do a lap with our sponsor for today.
Yeah, that sounds good. That sounds good for sure. And yeah, it's gonna be a pretty difficult one out here. I'll let you take this lap with our sponsor here, Frederick. I believe he's just about to come around now.
Yeah, so we'll pick up Frederick here coming down the front straight, heading down into this little quick little kink to the right there. Sorry.
Oh, that was Daniel Varon, actually. That's our bad. My bad there on that one.
No worries.
He's coming.
No worries. Yeah, you will get here eventually. So we'll see this. I think this is, here we go. This is turn 8. Now we're heading down the front straight. On board with Frederick Surley there in the team filmbill.no. Pharrell Racing as we head down the front straight. See a little quick kink. This is turn 1 to the right here. It's about a 45-degree corner, still carrying all the speed, never lifting. So we roll down into turn 2, another little quick corner, but that has checked that car up into 3 as you see one of the other Film Bill cars slide out of the way. And around turn 3 into turn 4, we'll roll back to the left now. Nice little run down here into turn 5. We'll start climbing a little bit of elevation here. Not a lot of elevation on this track, but there's a little bit there. You see a little crest as we come over, heading down into the hard turn 6. Hard right-hander. Got to really get the car slowed up to get around. Wide exit there as we head around to another little kink, turn 7. Another little 45-degree corner. Opens up very nicely for the hard run down into the final corner, which is turn 8. A little bit of rise there as we come around turn 8 and head back down to the start-finish line, and that's a lap. It's a real quick lap. You can see 1 minute 4 is our lap time here, and so this is a speed circuit for sure. As you got 8 quick corners and you're back around for another lap. So it's going to be very interesting. A lot of it is just, it looks like it's just pretty flat, Josh, for the most part, as far as acceleration. There's a couple of hard braking zones, but not really anything to speak of. You got 3, 6, and 8, and that's about it. The rest of them are just bends in the road as it is.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it as well. That final corner, that first corner, a little difficult. The rest of it, pretty standard fare. And that's kind of, the full layout as well is kind of like that as well. Those first and last corners are the ones you're kind of worried about. And then there's pretty standard fare in between there. There is kind of a section here that's missing out of this one that is a little bit more difficult. I'd say probably the second hardest part of the track here. But you're right. This is a pretty fast lap around here. A 104.6. I'm just seeing Kane Lasky put in here. And that's a pretty quick lap. They're going to get a lot of laps in. And I know, just from my own experience, when you have to put more laps in around a track like that, it can just be a bit of a mind bender after a while. It's a lot of laps. You start to feel like you're really going around in circles, and it can actually kind of wear you down a little bit more than, say, a track that's a bigger and has, maybe not hitting that same corner so many times in a row and so frequently as well. It comes up so quickly. So it should be interesting to see who can kind of stick it out around here. This is definitely a place you can pass as well. So I'd be expecting some passing and a little bit of aggression out there today as well.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think you get a lot of good runs here as we see. That's Dmitry Lukanov just jumping into the session here. We've looking at our group here. 19 cars have set a qualifying time. 19 cars in the session, and 14 of those 19 are within 1 second of the pole time. So that just really goes to show what you were saying is there's not really a chance to take a break here. You're even when you're on the straightaways, you're really pushing. You want to get that maximum lap time. And you're going to have lots of cars that you're fighting with in the process. So yeah, it's going to be a very tough 40-minute race here. As we've got qualifying done and dusted. We're going to roll over to our starting grid here, and we'll just do half and half. I'll get the top 10, you take the rest, and as soon as we get our qualifying, our racing, starting grid up, we'll go through it, and we're just waiting for everybody to get set here as we get ready to start this 40-minute session at Navarra. You see there we go. All right, so here we go. Jake Williams on pole, 104.245. Mikey Pollard will start outside of row 1. Daniel Case starting in 3rd. Frederick Surley starting in 4th. Antonio Reese starting in 5th. Kane Lasky starting in 6th. 7th is Jorg Monty. Aero Nam starting in 8th. Chris Murakami in 9th. And Jason Chin rounds out your top 10.
Yeah, we got our first Spec 2 starter here of Daniel Varon, and then Alan DeGassis after that in the Masters class. That'll be 12th place for Alan DeGassis. 13th is Andrew Love, another Masters driver. 14th, David Lehman from Canada. Paul Jackson is in 15th. Jeff Wubker, 16th. 17th is Eduardo Batista. In 18th, we have Todd Schween. I'm trying to pronounce that one.
We always say Shuey is so
Shuey? There we go. Shuey. Yeah, that sounds about right. Yep. Okay. Yeah, Todd Shuey. There we go. I see it now. And Dmitry Lukanov is going to round up 19th. Be expecting him to move forward, I think. I was nose to nose with him many times, so he should probably be moving up. And we're just hearing here from producer that I think it might be his first round this season. So pretty interesting to see where he'll end up.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. Dimitri was in the spec racers last season was one of the classes of the field in spec 2. So I think he's going to make he'll make some headway during the course of this race. This is going to be a nice comeback for him as we get rolled off the grid. Even though we got a full pace lap, it's not going to be very long because we're only talking about a 1 minute lap. So the Porsche will handle this just fine out front, and we'll get these cars rolling. So what are we looking for here early, Josh, as far as what the drivers are going to have to deal with to get this car up to speed?
Yeah, well, I think first of all, you're going to have to be real careful weaving there. We almost lost our leader already in a weave. He is weaving very aggressively. And of course, we're doing that to warm those tires up. And honestly, if you don't warm them up around here, T1's going to be rough into T1. So I would be doing the same thing. I think if I had any advice around here for these guys, it would be just kind of try to stay calm in the beginning there, get your passes done, stay clean, and then you got to kind of work with each other for about 40 minutes. If you fight too hard, around here into corners, especially in the opening laps, you're just going to find yourself moving backwards. It's a good idea to try to keep that momentum up. Try not to hack your opponents too much, and just make good decisions all around here. I think there's going to be a lot of passing opportunities around here, so decision making is going to be kind of a big deal.
Yeah, and we talk about this these cars of the 3 SCCA specs that we broadcast on the weekend. This is the one that drafts okay, but not nearly to the level that the Formula V's or the spec racers do. So you'll get a good tow because this is a lot of long straightaways here on this. So you'll get a good tow, but probably not what you would expect if you've ran either of the other 2 cars at this track. So it's going to be interesting to see how the fighting starts and gets going here as we're rolling around the final corner. Pace car is off and headed back down the pit lane, and we're just waiting on the leader to send us off into the race here. Lights are up, and we are green. Here we go. Off to the race. Is already spreading out in the back, 3-4 wide, trying to make it 5. Plenty of room here. It's a nice wide open track. Going to carry some speed. Not sure how that 5 wide is going to translate going through this little kink of turn 1. But looks like everybody gets through there nicely through turn 2 into turn 3. Really got to get on the brakes here, and successfully so. So good start by all of our drivers.
Yeah, so far, especially through that second part of T1 there, it really filters down into a very narrow line. Everybody handling it quite well. Even the cars up the inside there, not an easy line to hold on the inside of that corner is a pretty tenuous place to be. Definitely fanning out, looking for position here right now, and that's exactly what you want to do at the beginning of a race like this. Getting a bit of a lockup. I believe that was from Jorg Mani, and almost getting into someone there.
Yeah, it was Jorg locking the brakes up down into 6 and get six successfully stopped. No contact with anybody as Mikey Pollard has taken the lead. Fredericks Early jumps into P2, so they've kind of jumped Jake Williams there at the start of the race. So not much of an advantage for our pole setter there, as he's already dropped a couple positions. See a car fan out wide there to the inside, trying to get that run, and looks like he's going to be able to get that run made as we come down through turn 1. I think everybody successfully again, as we're kind of looking at the back of the field. Dmitry Lukanov already up to P15, so he's already picked up a few positions, as we see some cars kind of checking up here in the back as this nice long draft train has caught a couple guys napping a little bit going into the corner, so they have to be very careful. Luckily, nobody damaged at this point. Everybody's still green on the board. And Sorley and Pollard are trying to get that run. Deep on the inside, and there's the first contact.
That was Daniel Case.
That was the 2 car. Daniel Case on the inside, locking it up and sliding right through the apex of the corner and into, I believe that was I'm not really sure who that was. Jorg Monty dropping down in the order as well. So there you go. So first little incident there. We'll see no meatballs on the board, so not a lot of damage, but obviously you have to be very careful and want to keep an eye out for those two drivers to see if there's any damage, long-lasting damage to the car before the pit stop.
Yeah, you're very lucky to get away with one of those. Daniel K sitting back in 12th place now, looking like his car's actually fairly clean after a massive lockup there. Just wrecking balled pretty much into that lead group. Jorg Monty looks like he's getting away with it, and Antonio's going to be facing the wrong way here. Looks like maybe he does not have damage, so probably, getting caught on the inside of T1, maybe a little spin on his own. Really easy to do. We'll have a look here from our chopper view. And he's got a little bit of pressure from behind here. He's going to turn in. Yeah, everything's looking okay here. He's going to somebody up the inside. He's going to actually probably spook him a little bit there. No. And then, unfortunately, he's just going to lose the rear end of the car. So asking a little bit too much of grip there, and a little bit of pressure from behind, I think, causing that one.
Yeah, I think so. I think he kind of fanned out wide, and maybe the curbs upset the car as he was in the braking zone. We'll see Daniel Case coming into the pit, so probably a little bit of damage on that car. So he's coming in now to get that sorted out. So he's in the pits, going to drop down the order. Kane Lasky there with a slowdown. Still not cleared that yet. That's going to be one of those things we'll have to watch. Obviously, with a fast track, it's you're just going to have to get out of line and serve that and take your punishment. There's not really a way you're going to be able to work that off through a slow corner somewhere. So you're just going to have to bite the bullet there and move offline and slow the car down. If you lose a position, then you'll just have to make it back up on the track. As we're on board here with Alan DeGassis, the nice three-car group there with DeGassis, Jorg Monty, and Chris Murakami leading the Masters class, all running now with 6th, 8th, and 9th as Murakami gets by Jason Chin. You see a little bit of contact there between, and more contact there.
It's still more contact. Peter Jackson. That was not a good one there for sure. Pile up in the middle of the corner. Not really anywhere for anybody to go there, was there, Charles? And Andrew Love really just getting caught out in that one. Really, really bad spot, unfortunately, to spin. And again, maybe even worse spot to come up on somebody who has spun already. So we're going to see exactly how it kicked off here. Believe the purple car was involved in the initial part of this, maybe just in reaction. We're going to have a peek here. So we're looking at the white car. Yeah, DeGassis and Monty getting together, and then a bit of avoidance turns into more avoidance, turns into a pile-up, unfortunately, there. Yeah, everybody trying desperately to get around, some, unfortunately, just not making it.
Yeah, that was Verone and Andrew Love there that were the last couple of cars that were involved in that. Both those cars were in the had a meatball. Both of them came into the pits. And there is it's a kind of a strange pit entry here is you do have an opening there before coming through out of 6 before you get into 7. But then you have, we got another spin there. And there's Jorg Monty spinning around on the inside.
Some bad luck today.
And he's going to get that righted. But you can see a little bit of an escape entry there coming out of turn 8 to get into the pit. So there's kind of two entries. I don't think there's a penalty involved in that. I think that you can get away with that. So I haven't seen one yet. I did see a couple of cars earlier that did take that entry out of 8 into the pit road as opposed to the normal entry out of 6. So we'll get a replay here as we get Jorg Monty coming around the final corner and just loses the rear. Kind of strange for Jorg, just losing the rear of the car and looping it around. Solo spin, no contact with anybody else, and so he's just lost some time. And he'll have to make that up as we got another car in the background there going wide. I think that was Paul Jackson. Nope, that's the 22 car of Eduardo Batista. We got more contact, and there's Paul Jackson around.
Terrible rejoin there. That was a terrible rejoin from the, I believe that was a rejoin anyway. I kind of just caught that right at the beginning of, but it looked to me like that green and blue car there, I believe it's the 230, actually came on track there. Just really bullied his way onto track, and unfortunately Paul Jackson getting caught out in that rejoin or in that just kind of, it looked to me like he just didn't see Paul at all there and just drove straight back onto the track, and Paul getting caught out again. So some unfortunate happens there to Paul Jackson so far. He's going to get a meatball from that too. It's going to send him in the pit. Real bummer.
Yeah, unfortunately, the mechanical black flag for Paul Jackson as he comes into the pits to get that served. I don't know, with this track, that might be within the window. We're not really sure about the pit window here with this shortened version of Navarra. But at the 7-minute mark, that might be late enough that he can get to the end. We'll have to kind of keep an eye on that. There's another incident in the background there. That's the 22 again of Bautista, and I believe that was Todd Shuey as well involved in that. So more damage in the back, and Wubker with a mechanical black flag, the meatball flag. So obviously Wubker was involved in that as well. As we see the 3 cars heading their way down into turn 1. They're going to make that little sharp right-hander as we go 3 wide through the corner. Bautista coming way across to the middle of the track into 2, and then Shuey and just nowhere for, unfortunately, for Bautista to go there as Shuey kind of loses the car as well. So it just a little bit of maybe lack of knowledge of the track is starting to creep up on some of these drivers. Is that just not really sure how to handle these corners with traffic around them. Obviously, it's a different story when you're out there qualifying. You don't want to have any cars around you. You want it to, if worst case is you want a car in front kind of giving you a little bit of a tow. But for the most part, you want to be clear to be able to run your racing line during your qualifying session. So maybe it's a little bit of a lack of practice or in and around traffic and kind of caught those drivers out just a bit.
Yeah, I think so. I think you have a driver or 2 there that are pretty familiar with T1, and maybe 1 or 2 that weren't familiar with T1 there. And like I said in the beginning, this is a corner you cannot go into too wide and expect to come out of it very clean most of the time. 3 wide's definitely not going to work. Todd is actually, unfortunately, getting a black flag now. I'll have to probably another off track or something after that, but he's on his out now, I believe. But yeah, unfortunately, 3 wide's not going to work through there. I think, Jorg Manny probably put that in 3 wide just to kind of press square to intimidate, and boy, did it ever work. It ended up definitely messing some people up there for sure. You can see sort of the green and blue car there, just looking for where am I supposed to be here? I'm kind of in the middle, and now I'm in the center of the track. And when you're in the middle of the track in that corner, easily the worst place to be. The car is so unsettled. You can't turn right, you can't turn left. If you get on the brakes, you spin. And I think that's kind of where he was at right there. Really easy to just trip over the car in that part of the course.
Yeah, absolutely. And did see that the black flag for Shu, I believe that was a pit speeding entry. So I think he's decided that's probably the end of the day for him. He'll go, and if he's going to run this SRF, he'll go get some extra laps in the spec racer for the next round coming up. But Shuey out of the race. Initially when the black flag came up, I thought, well, he's got 2 4Xs probably already from contact with other cars. So it wouldn't have surprised me that had been an incident limit black flag, but no, it looks like it was speeding on pit entry. And instead of taking the 40-second penalty, you said, you know what, I think I'm done for today. Probably not a bad thing for Todd.
That's
obviously.
A race ender.
Yeah, for sure. As we're back on board here with Frederick Surley chasing down Mikey Pollard, they've got themselves quite a nice gap. So they've managed to stretch the gap out to 2.5 seconds over third place, Jake Williams, who is in a battle there with Kane Lasky and Arrow Nom. Saw Arrow leading that group earlier. So these 3 cars are battling amongst themselves. Is allowing those front 2 to escape and get themselves quite a nice gap. Got a little bit of Andrew Love action there as he's already been in the wars and is going to be going a lap down as he's already been in and out. So he'll get back on the lead lap as the rest of the cars come in for their pit stop. So, but he's obviously quite a way behind. He's running 17th, unfortunately for Andrew, and he'll have quite a bit of work to do to try and get up to the next car, as he has a 12-second gap up to Jeff Wubker running in 16th. As this 3-man group here, Jake Williams, Arrow Nom, Kane Lasky, all running nose to tail, coming out of turn 3. They'll head down the little bit of a little decline here in through 4 and 5. That'll get them the run into 6. So you can see that those guys are still battling pretty hard. Looks like Lasky's kind of laid off just a little bit off the back of this group. I think he's seeing the cars in front as you see Nam making the move around to take the position back into third position. I think he's deciding that these guys are racing a little bit harder than he wants to at this stage of the race.
Yeah, it's not a bad idea sometimes to just kind of let your competitors do what they're going to do, especially if they're racing really hard in front of you. Maybe, Kane is seeing out there. He's got a sharp eye, Kane does. He's a fast driver. He thinks in the car. And if he's holding off, it's probably because he sees something in front of him that's going to happen before he needs to do anything about it. Sometimes all you have to do is just press square to intimidate, as we saw a little earlier there. And you can kind of mind punt your competitors, especially into T1 here, adding some pressure into T1, as we saw actually happen to, I believe it was Antonio Reese. Somebody just kind of lingering up the inside a little bit. That's kind of all you need to be. If you can just kind of get in your competitor's head that you're up the inside of this corner, it makes it very hard to square it off, and it makes it really easy to spin the car as you're just, basically hanging onto the car. We're getting some pretty solid pressure here. I believe that's Jake Williams and Aaron Nom. Aaron Nom's going to take that position. Jake Williams going to pretty much let him have it there. I think that's a smart move, Charles. They didn't lose any momentum there. He didn't lose a position. That's how you get a pass done, and that's how you get past right there.
Yep, absolutely, and that's the battle there. That's I've seen that move a couple of times by those drivers, and manages to get that worked off quite successfully there with that run out of 5 down into 6, and that second car in line makes the nice pass, gets it done before the corner, and you're right, not losing any time as we saw Andrew Love to the inside of that group, just showing the good sportsmanship and let that group of faster cars on the lead lap go ahead and get out of the way, and he can continue to run his race and let those guys work their way to their pit stop, which will happen, in the next 20 minutes or so here, as we're about 13 and a half minutes into this 40-minute race. Mandatory pit stop. Even if you think that you've got enough fuel, you must come in and take a stop, whether you need fuel or not. And most of the drivers have set their cars up so they can be a little lighter to start and take as little fuel as necessary for the rest of the race. But there's always some varying strategies out there between the drivers on when they want to come in, as we saw with Antonio Reese coming in early. Just came out of the pits. He's dropped down to P14, but he's got his pit stop done and dusted. He is second of the cars that have made their pit stop. Daniel Case running in 13th is the first car who has got the pit stop done. So we'll see as Kane Lasky now with the fastest lap of the race in that tow, 104.601. So gets the fastest lap of the race as we've got Nom and Williams continuing to swap that P3 position back and forth amongst each other. And we see Andrew Love there in the background, who's latched on and is trying to hang on to the draft of the cars in front. It's going to make him run a little bit quicker, and maybe that gives him a position after the pit cycle's done, as we see now this battle from 8th to 10th with David Lehman, Alan DeGassis, Jason Chin, 2 Masters drivers, 1 Spec 1 driver, and these guys are battling hard, and it looks like they're having kind of the same battle that the guys further up front are having.
Yeah, we got a few battles happening on track. It looks like Alan DeGassis going to look up the inside here. Not quite going to be able to make that one happen. Probably not the best place to try that one there to actually get that done. I just did a little bit of research on our sponsor today, filmbill.no, and it's actually very cool. It turns out Filmbill is actually a place where you can rent vehicles for your filming. So if you have any sort of a filming project or something going on at all, and you happen to be in that area, which I know a lot of our drivers are not, but a very cool business there where you can actually rent vehicles off them for your filming projects and stuff. So pretty cool stuff from our sponsor there today, doing very well as well, up 2 positions in second place. Looking right now at Jake Williams. He is kind of a plug for Aaron Nom and Kane Lasky at the moment. I have a feeling that they maybe have a little more pace than he does in the tank, but we're going to see it. Actually, if you look in the background right now, it looks like he is getting a pass done. He's going to make that one happen fairly easy for him as well. So another pretty easily facilitated pass. And if you notice, they didn't lose any time really there, and that is how it's done for sure around, especially such a small course like this.
Yeah, absolutely. And you saw the difference between those guys making that pass versus what we saw with Lehman and DeGassis earlier, is DeGassis not quite able to get that pass done going into the corner, so they had to fight a little bit side by side and cost the entire group a little bit of time there, as Chin in behind just had to kind of hold up a little bit. Now Chin has managed to get his way around DeGassis to pick up P9. As Aaron Nom now with the fastest lap of the race. So that second group there starting to pick up the pace just a little bit, and you see the gap closing. It's 2.1 up to the up to the lead group. So these guys are starting to work together, and all those leapfrog maneuvers are starting to actually have a little bit of an effect, and they're starting to close the gap up to the leaders. We see another battle here. That's Chin getting around DeGassis there, coming through turn 6. Gets it done once again. Probably cost themselves a little bit of time there. And you see the gap actually from DeGassis up to Lehman is 1.3. So Lehman's kind of broken loose there as we're looking at Chris Murakami. Dmitry Lukanov starting in the back of the field now up to P7. So we talked about him working his way up the field, and he has absolutely done so, up 12 positions already in the race, and now looking at the back of Murakami to see if he can make that happen.
Yeah, absolutely. He's up a bunch of positions here. We're going to have a look at Aeronom and Jake Williams in to T1, and I'm expecting here he's going to let them through, and they're going to get it done before the corner, and boom, nobody loses any time, and they continue to catch P1 and P2, and that is exactly how it's done. And you point out very well there the difference between the two passes we saw. I believe it was Jason Chen and Antonio Reese, and they fight all the way to apex. They're doing it again here, almost actually. Nope, they facilitated pretty good there. But there's really no point at this point in the race in fighting for apex. All you're doing is pushing yourself backwards. That's it. The only time you really want to be fighting for apex, maybe in the wee hours, the last couple laps of the race when you're really trying to show your competitor. Otherwise, all you're doing is moving yourself backwards, and we're seeing that happen in live right for us here as Jake Williams, Aeronom, and Kane Lasky catch our leaders, as we see the likes of Jason Chen and Alan DeGassis actually losing time every time they go for a pass. So pretty good visual just to see there how you do have to kind of learn how to be passed as well. If somebody's already got that and they have the advantage and they have the inside, it's almost always better, unless it's the last lap of the race, to just let it happen and fight another day.
That's it. Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree with that, as this group is now sliding back just a little bit, so not sure cost themselves a couple of tenths there in the midst of all that, but they are still trying to close the gap down, as we see Lukanov now looking to the inside of Murakami, not able to get anything done there as they head through turn 3. Lukanov gets a good run out of the corner, so now we're going to see this run down through 4, 5, and into 6, and see if Lukanov can carry a little bit of draft as they work their way down the hill and here through turn 5. Lukanov still getting a little closer, within a tenth of a second. Now he's basically touching the back of Murakami's car. Murakami center of the car, not wanting to give that position up just yet, as we're heading down into the halfway point of the race. So Murakami may be thinking that if I can just keep him behind me, we'll get to the pit stop and we'll see what happens after that. But so far, not really wanting to give that position up to Lukanov just yet, as we're getting a little bit of information there from our producer in my ear, and just seeing the really tight battle there between Murakami and Lukanov as they're closing the gap down here. This is back into turn 2, and we're going to slow this car down for turn 3. See Murakami taking a much wider line through that corner, keeping his momentum up as Lukanov kind of squares it up just a little bit, and maybe not getting the best run, but he's getting the run now. It's back down to 2 tenths, and we'll see what Murakami does here. He's still centering as Lukanov looks to the inside. He's still centering the car. Doesn't want to give that up. It's kind of keeping Lukanov from making that run out of 5 and into 6. So holds him off quite nicely. So nice defensive driving there by Murakami as we head around the corner. Still looking at this battle now as Chen has caught back up to David Lehman. With the gases has kind of dropped off a little bit. You see Paul Jackson in the mix there as he's gone a lap down, and so he's kind of got in the middle of that fight. So maybe he's prevented the gases from carrying through, as we're still looking with Nam up in 3rd place, Jason Williams in 4th, Lasky still sitting there in 5th. Lasky being very patient, it must be said, not really pushing the issue at this point in the race. He's just said, wait, I'm waiting for after the pit stops as they make their run down. And you see the 909 car there of Jeff Wupker in front of this group. Wupker moving to the inside, wants to let those guys take the outside line. So he's going to be very sportsmanlike. They almost carried right into the back of him. So I think I think Nam may have been trying to get as much toe off the back of Wupker's car as he could to try and keep Williams behind for that lap. As this battle, we've got some nice battles all over the track here, even with this short shortened layout and smaller field than we're used to seeing. It's we're definitely got some good battles as Kane Lasky has broken off and now jumped into the pits to take his pit stop.
Yeah, I think probably he hit his target there, and he's in right away to get away from that group of cars there. He probably just didn't want to try to pass the two of them there in one shot. It looks like a little bit of a mistake there for Frederick into T1, but still in touch with P1, Mikey Pollard at the moment. And once again, looking down back at Chris Mirakami and Dmitry Lukanov there not long ago. And it looked to me like perhaps David Lehman was beginning to catch up to this pack of cars here, because they are fighting a little bit. A little perplexing as to why Chris Mirakami would want to hold Dmitry Lukanov quite so much, but he's got a bit of time to play with here before his next competitor of David Lehman is going to be on him. I've raced Chris many times, and he has very, very wide shoulders. I think he just likes to race, and it's his prerogative to do so where he is right now too. We talk about facilitating passes, letting them buy momentum. Every once in a while, you just kind of want to race too. You just don't want somebody to get by you, and you can do that as well. Doesn't really matter. He's got about a second here till David Lehman is going to be on him, so I'd be thinking about that if I was him, and probably let Dmitry go. See if I could attach to him and pull away from David, but we'll see how that goes. Looks like our pack split up here, of course, with Kane Lasky coming into the pit, so we just have Aaron Nam, I believe, and Jake Williams having a look at each other. And there we're going to go up the inside. Dmitry Lukanov of Chris Mirakami. He's going to get that one done, release himself onto the track, and we'll probably see him start to march away a little bit here. Now Chris Mirakami has lost, at least a handful of tenths to David Lehman, so he's going to have David Lehman on him now. We probably have another battle, possibly for Masters here soon.
Yeah, maybe so. You're exactly right. As Lehman, obviously, in that seventh position, right, second and a half behind Murakami. It is a Masters. That is the battle for the Masters class win today as Lukanov gets through. And I think this may actually help Murakami a little bit, because he's going to have the benefit of getting a little bit of a toe off of Lukanov. I don't think that the gap between those two cars, as far as their lap times, was anything just where Lukanov was just going to be able to just march away, but we'll see. Lukanov has always been very, very quick in these cars, so it wouldn't shock me if he does, but we'll see what happens to see if Murakami can hang on. We'll say this: Kane Lasky came back out in P12. He's 4.8 seconds behind Daniel Case, running in 11th. And yeah, I was going to say Guido, very long pit stop indeed, 21.6 stoppage time, which was several seconds faster than the other cars who came in during the kerfuffle we had in the opening laps. So it's going to be interesting to see how that's going to equate. He came out behind Daniel Case, but in front of Antonio Reese. So he's kind of in a little bit of a gap all of his own there. So not really getting any help. So it's going to be up to Kane to keep up his momentum and keep his pace moving forward, to try and make up as much time as he can. Case obviously pretty quick. Obviously at the beginning of the race, obviously got into trouble. So he's not going to be a slouch. It's going to be difficult for Kane, as I think the gap now is already kind of ballooned out to 5 seconds between Case and Lasky, as we're back on board here with this second group, this second pack of two, Jake Williams and Aaron Nam. Jake leading that group for the time being. They are still closing the gap up to that lead pack. It's 1.6 now, so the gap is slowly getting closer and closer, as Pollard still leads Surly up front with Williams and Nam in that second group. And now Lukanov gained about 3/10 over Murakami. That's P5 and P6, and that is our Spec 2 and Masters class leaders, as we're at the 26-minute mark of the race. So probably, I would say 5 to 7 minutes left before we close our pit window, and everybody has to come in and get that stop made. So lots of drivers leaving it to the last waning moments of the pit cycle to come in and get their final bit of fuel for the end of the race. And that might be the difference in, as we see Batista around, and that's him towing back to the pits. And I think that was enough to cause him a black flag for incident limit, as comes out of that corner and heads down into 6. Up against the wall on the pit entry. and then sideways in the track, and that's enough for him. He said, "That's it. I am done." So not the way that Eduardo Batista wants to finish this race today. Obviously, with just a simple little mistake as he was coming to the pits. It just
I wonder, Charles.
I mean,
I wonder if he was just looking down for fuel or something there. He's looking at a button, maybe looking to find some fuel calculations or something and whap the wall. I know personally, the second I start thinking about numbers, those things happen to me. So it's not a thing. You know, again, we talk about it often, maybe not often enough, just how difficult these pit stops can be. Even a simple pit stop into a simple, not even the hardest entry or exit on this track can ruin your entire race if you don't execute it right. That can mean overfueling. It can mean not on checking your tires. You can miss your box. You can speed in. You can speed out, or you can crash straight into the wall on the way in while you're looking down at your dashboard or something like that. And it's just such a simple thing that you think it is until it's upon you, and then all of a sudden your heart rate goes up and your adrenaline, your palms are sweating. And it's just a pit stop, and we're going to be looking for a few drivers here that will be doing that soon. I assume that's kind of what's happening here, is they're going as far as they can. Just on merit here before they have to pit. They don't want to break these battles or be the first one in, but we shall see. It really could really change things here once we get to this pit cycle as to how they get that, how fast they go in, how fast they get out. Can they hit their box? How much fuel did they put in? In my case, it's always too little or too much. And I ruin my own races often. So we'll see how that plays out, but we've still got all to play for here.
We still do have all to play for. As you see that front four there, gap stabilized at 1.7 between P2 and P3. As we see another car, that is Alan DeGassis coming in, and he's taking the long way around, taking the pit entry coming out of turn 6. You see the little bit of a sharp corner there in the middle, and I think that is the proper way to take that pit lane entry. Unfortunate for Bautista, because I would have initially, just because of the way that he drove straight into the wall and didn't really make any corrections. It was either he was distracted or it was a hardware malfunction, which would have been the craziest time to have one, right? Is when you're coming in a pit entry. As we see, that's who breaking off there. Is that Mikey Pollard breaking off? So he's coming into the pits. Yep. First of the leaders to come into the pits here, so we're going to watch his his pit time very, very closely, and we're going to see where he comes out in relationship to the rest of the cars. This might benefit. He might get the benefit of getting behind a couple of fairly quick cars to get some draft off of them, or it may be that he's just going to get kind of bound up behind some slower traffic. So we'll have to keep an eye on that as Lehman comes in. Yorgmani's also in. So pit stops are starting to fire off here. We're at the almost a 30-minute mark of the race.
Yeah, pit stop time for sure. I would imagine the cars are getting pretty light on fuel out there at this point. They go probably about this far on fuel unless you're lifting or have been in a big draft for most of the race here. So we're still in the pit lane here for some of the drivers, and it looks like I'm having trouble finding my pit times properly here. Let's see, Pollard was about 42 seconds all in, it looks like, through the pit. So that's going to be a fairly short one, 49, 42, 43, 45. So it's looking fairly good. 49 maybe looking a bit long, 45 looking somewhere in the middle, 42 being pretty quick by the looks of it. And that's obviously going to matter on how much fuel you actually do have to put in the tank, once you go in. But it's going to be interesting to see, again, these pit stops can really make or break a race.
Yep, and we see Jake Williams, Errol Nom, Dmitry Lukinov, Chris Murakami. So Lukinov with a black flag. And that's going to be, I think, on pit entry. And that's a 40-second penalty. So all the good work that Lukinov did during the course of the early part of this race has just been wiped off by speeding on pit road. So everybody else coming in. We're hearing that he hit the pit wall also. So we're going to get a replay here as we got Lukinov coming in, and he is taking the short version here, which is coming out of turn 8, I believe. Is that right? Or is this the long one? Oh, this is the long one. I'm sorry. This is the one coming out of 6. Oh, yeah, just a slightest bit of contact there. I think he kind of crunched the nose of Murakami, but yeah, you saw him. He just got loose into that sharp corner coming in on pit road, and then gunned it just a little too much there. As he is sped coming in, and that's going to be the death knell for him in his race as he gets the extra pit. I'm sorry. Oh, so no, he did not get a pit speeding entry. He got an unsafe pit entry. So
That's what it
he's
was. Yep.
able to,
Yeah,
he was
crossed the
able
line.
to get, yeah, he was able to get through and get his pit stop done, but he still has the black flag on board. So he is going to have to make another penalty. Either that's a stop and go or it's a drive through. But either way, Lukinoff is going to have to come back into the pits one more time.
Yeah,
so
he's in now.
So he's coming in now. So it's not the worst of the penalties, not the 40-second stoppage time, but there is some penalty time involved in this. So we'll keep an eye on that. But obviously, that's going to put a damper on his race. As I think we've got everybody, with the exception of Jason Chen, has come in. So Chen, the only one who has not stopped yet. As we now see another replay here of Lukinoff. Is this his second time through? It's the first time through. Okay, so we're going to replay the first time. Oh, yeah. Yeah, you see
Jason Chen almost losing it.
Ooh. So,
oh, no, sorry. Was that Chen?
Now, yeah. No, this is Lukinoff. It's another replay of Lukinoff's pit entry.
Yep.
So, yeah, you could just see him lose the car. And here comes Chen in. That was not the best of entries either. So, once again, even our good drivers, he got damaged.
It's not an easy one. Yeah, it's not an easy pit entrance, honestly.
Yeah,
I think maybe he did. Yeah. Yeah, let's have a look
Very
here.
Close to
It's
the wall,
not an easy one,
contact. Right? There's some wall contact.
Oh,
that might have been a little iRacing glue that got attached to that car as well. But yeah, just looked like he had a tire wobbling as he was coming into his pit stop. So he's done. He's on his way back out. Mikey Pollard, our race leader. Aero Nam has now jumped up. So now we've got a 4-car battle up here as Pollard, Nam, Surly, and Williams are all in the pack together. And so we've got a lap down car, I believe, of Paul Jackson sitting back there in behind this group. I think that is him indeed. So now you've got a 4-car battle, and it looks like there's going to be Williams and Surly back there battling for P3. And who's going to step out in front? They got to be very careful because the gap is now right at that 1 second mark. They do not want to lose the draft off this lead pack.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And, at the same time, you're kind of trying to manage the competitor with you as well. So you don't want to lose that draft up front, but you also want to kind of hold the driver off behind, or perhaps get in front of the driver in front of you. So it's not an easy one to manage here. This is definitely when you want to start kind of getting froggy and looking for position, though, so that, we were saying earlier about kind of facilitating passes and, keeping the momentum up. That's starting to go out the window now. Now you just want to get in front of your competitor and hold that position. You want to show them that you have the pace that you believe you have, and try to solidify that lead if you can. If I was Aero Nam here, I would probably be kind of waiting my time a little bit still. I'd probably wait another lap or two before I really make my move here, while also keeping a really good eye on Jake behind me, and kind of the same thing with Jake and Williams here, or sorry, Jake and Frederick as well here. We're going to swap positions one more time coming into that T8 complex that just seems so popular for passing today.
Yeah, absolutely. As we're watching this, Daniel Case came back in for a second stop. Obviously was damaged early on, had to come back in for fuel and got a pit speeding exit penalty. So he's going to have to come back down and serve that. So that's a very unfortunate penalty for Daniel Case, taking a bad day, making it worse. Andrew Love also making a second stop for fuel from the earlier incident. So he's coming back out, got his fuel done and dusted, and coming back out in 17th place. So not really much harm there, as he's already kind of in the back. So he'll get a chance to just run and see if he can make a position up. But I think he's going to be okay versus Case, as Case will have to come down. So he's back into the pit lane again.
Yep.
And this is going to be, I'm trying to remember if this is a drive-through. This might be a 25-second stop and hold on pit speeding on exit. So Case may have to come in and take a little time to stop and think about it. Yeah, he's in the box now. So he'll be there for a few seconds, and hopefully remember to uncheck everything, because if he takes even an ounce of fuel, that's it for him. As we now see Bautista with the disqualification, so he is officially done for today. As he apparently came back out to try and run a few more laps, and just not going to happen for him. So very bad day for Eduardo Bautista. As Jake Williams now has set the fastest lap of the race, and now has closed the gap up to that lead 2, and has brought Frederick Sorley along with him for the ride there. So we're back to that 4-car pack in front, and we've got about 3 laps remaining on the board here as we come around. This is coming down out through turn 5, coming down into 6, so that when they take they come back by to the start-finish line the next time, I think it'll be 3 to go.
Yeah, we're getting pretty close to the wee hours here. Jake Williams making his sprint for the front by the looks of it here as well. He's going to be right in that draft range now. If I was him, I think I'm in pretty good position right now watching these two in front of me. You kind of apply some pressure. You've still got third place no matter what, so really you're on the podium. It really doesn't hurt to apply some pressure there. Try to just kind of manage where you are and come out with a podium at the end, maybe more. And it's a good place, a good position to be in. Mikey Pollard, on the other hand, probably in the hardest position right now, in the hot seat, having to hold everybody behind. Aaron Nam definitely showing the nose a little bit here and there as well. So he's putting the pressure on. Doesn't seem to be bothering Mikey at the moment at all, though. So we shall see how this plays out. Only a couple minutes left in this race, and there's definitely going to be some opportunities here.
Yep, and Mikey Pollard, obviously previous race winner in multiple classes. I don't think the pressure is going to be too much as we see the 272 car up front.
Oh boy.
3 wide coming down into turn 6 here, and I think that was Williams said, yeah, I'll give it a look. Not going to make it happen, but Nam is able to get to the lead. It got the back marker in front. That's the 272 of Verone is just going to be in the way at this point as these cars are battling hard. I think he's going to stay very wide. Very nice done by Verone there as Nam and Williams and Pollard are still fighting, and now it's 2 by 2 in the front of the group here as we've got Nam trying to break the draft, doing everything he can, switched way to the inside there, and is going to switch back out here trying to open this corner up. Is he going to stay inside? He's going to stay inside and keep it very tight as Williams goes through with him. Pollard on the outside there in third position. Surly still in fourth, still in the fight, but not really pushing a lot. I think he's kind of waiting to see if he can pick up the scraps at the end of this and maybe sneak out of here with a podium as these guys are looking to go 3 wide again, coming down through 4 into 5. And now we're coming down the run. This is down into turn 6 as we see Williams there centering the car, trying to keep it a defensive line there as Pollard and Nam go side by side through the corner. Through 6 they go into 7, and we're going to get the white flag next time by as we are 1 to go, coming out of turn 8 for the final, or the second to final time, the penultimate corner there as Williams hangs on to the lead. Pollard and Nam side by side for second place as now we're heading on the final lap, heading down into turn 1. It is Williams, followed by Nam, followed by Pollard, or actually side by side with Pollard, followed by Surly, who's looking to the inside to try and sneak onto the podium there as Pollard and Nam are fighting through turn 2, coming down into turn 3. Still four in line, so no real battles here, but I think this is about to heat up as we come through 4 into 5 and the draft builds for these cars, heading their way down into turn 6 for the final time. And here we go through 5, and the run has started. 0.2 of a second is the gap between Williams and Pollard, and closing and closing and closing, 1/10 down to a 1/10, and just not enough there as he's not going to be able to get side by side out of 6, coming down into turn 7. It is still Williams ahead of Pollard, ahead of Nam, ahead of Surly as we're coming down through the final corner into turn 8. Pollard going to take it on the wide line, try to get a good run out as not going to be able to get it done as Williams leads. And we're going to get the final run down. We're not going to have enough time, I don't think. It's going to be Jake Williams taking the victory over Mikey Pollard. Aaron Nam third. Frederick Surly, our sponsor for today, putting up a good show. Ended up in 4th place, right in the middle of that battle as we got Kane Lasky is going to come in for P5. And I think we figured out that was a little bit of a long stop for Lasky there. 15 seconds off the lead group. Jason Chen's going to finish in 6th. Antonio Reese takes the Masters class victory in 7th over Chris Murakami. York Monty finishing in 9th. There's your Masters podium. David Lehman just outside in 10th. Alan DeGas is 11th. Dmitry Lukanov will take Spec 2 victory in P12. Daniel Verone finishing in 13th. And then there's the rest of the group as the rest of the field is finished. Josh, that's a great ending to that race.
Yeah, absolutely. There was pretty much a masterclass in car placement there, from actually making passes as well as blocking or just kind of throwing a pickup as well in a few places. So those top 4 drivers there, we're going to see extremely, extremely close margins there for Jason Chen and Chris Murakami. As well, there we got is that Antonio Reese? Yeah, just hanging out in the back as well. So yeah, some pretty much just master classes here on that last lap of how it's done. Really awesome to watch those 4 front drivers there duke it out. Mikey Pollard being able to hold on to it there, hold on to second place for the end. Not quite able to hold on to that first place though. So hard, whole race in first place to hold that position on the last lap is extremely difficult, and he was able to come up with a second place there. So pretty good stuff out of the top 4 there. Awesome to watch.
Yeah, it really was. It was a great ending to a very good race overall. Lots of battles all over the track and lots of strategy playing out, but great bit of driving by that top 4 and Jake Williams taking the overall win. And let's see if we can get our race results up, and we'll go through the list here. As Jake Williams will take the race victory over Mikey Pollard. Errol Nom rounds out your Spec 1 podium and overall podium. In third, Frederick Surley just missing out on that podium by 0.2 of a second, finishing in fourth. Kane Lasky in P5, Jason Chen finishing in sixth. Antonio Reese finishes in seventh, takes the Masters class victory over Chris Murakami and Jorg Monty, your top 3 in the Masters class, 7th, 8th, and 9th, with 10th being David Lehman. Alan DeGassis finishes as 11th, so 5 Masters drivers nose to tail essentially there. Dmitry Lukanov taking P12 and the Spec 2 victory over Daniel Verone. Paul Jackson finishing in third in Spec 2, 14th overall. Jeff Wubker is in 15th, Andrew Love 16th, Daniel Case 17th, Eduardo Batista finishing in 18th, and Todd Shuey finishing in 19th. So great racing all up and down today. Really enjoyed seeing that. Looking to see, I don't see anybody out there waiting for an interview. Everybody forgot they're supposed to come in for interviews. We haven't done this in so long that
it's been a while
that we forgot we're supposed to go have an interview with the broadcasters. So Josh, let's see, what do we have coming up? Let's see, do we have the schedule for next week? Where we're going to be to add to this. We'll go ahead and kind of talk about that for a couple of minutes. We'll see if we can get our Weekend Warriors Formula Ford schedule with two races now left to go. We'll see what those final 2 races are, and so we can kind of kick that around here before we wrap up. So I'm kind of looking to see.
Yeah, I'll just pull up our schedule. It's actually been a little bit since we've been with these guys. So it looks like we have Silverstone's up next, and then we're going to finish the season off round 12 at Lime Rock Park, the West Bend chicane layout. So that one's going to be pretty frenetic race. That is a small, very tight track, even smaller than this one, right? So it's going to be a pretty frenetic one there. And then Silverstone, wow, that'll be pretty cool in the FFs. Yeah,
Silverstone put on some good battles amongst this Formula Ford group a couple of seasons ago. So that's going to make for some very, very exciting racing. Lots of drafting involved, lots of very tight cornering, carrying a lot of speed. So really looking forward to that. So
yeah, absolutely.
Once again, I think we'll wrap it up for today. So for Josh Wilkie, the boss, letting me take over here, I'm Charles Boshell.
Thanks, man.
Guido Marzucchi in the production booth, keeping us in line and in check, and making sure we all sound good, we all look good out there on the circuit and in the booth. Thank you very much for stopping in. We're happy to be back. Once again, thanks to filmbuild.no for the sponsorship for today, and we'll see you next week at Silverstone for some more Formula Ford action. Don't forget, we've got another race coming up. We've got the Spec Racer Fords coming up here in short order in about an hour or so's time. We'll be back online with that broadcast, and we will see if we can figure out where that is real quick. And that is going to be, it is the Spec Racers at the Nordschleife.
Oh yeah.
Hey, if you're gonna do anything this afternoon, be back in an hour for that one. That is going to be a fantastic
I'll
race.
be in that one.
Yeah,
Hopefully
so
surviving.
it's just get ready for some madness on the green hell. So for everybody involved, thank you very much. We will see you again real soon. Have a great day and be safe. Take care.